Welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho, and I'm here with one of my co-hosts, Matt King. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Yes, King Megatrip himself. Yeah, I've appreciated that you've joined me on this Warlock 5 journey. We covered issue 8 last time, and now we decided we'd jump in and take a look at 9 and 10 together.
Right on.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you. So I'm just gonna kind of look at um, issue 9 right now. This cover absolutely blows me away.
Yep.
I mean, they've all blown me away, but this one in particular, I don't know. It was just extra special for me. There's just it just seemed a little different than the others. And then I realized as I was reading into it, this is the first cover that actually has something directly to do with the actual storyline going
All
on
right.
in the book. So
Huh.
yeah, so I was really surprised about that. I mean, they've typically been referential, like the main character might be featured, but what's actually happening in this image is happening in the story. So
Right.
I thought that
I
was
think
cool.
I think other than the last issue, this is the only cover that has any like backgrounds and stuff. Like they're all mostly figures on,
Yeah,
with like lightning in the background or like energy ray. You know what I mean? Like this is
yep,
actually like an alley, and I
yep,
think the last one was also an alley, but.
yep.
This one looks like it could be straight off of a Dragon magazine that he did, It's got that kind
Absolutely.
of. Very cool.
Absolutely. And this is like right in that era when he was doing all that sort of stuff, right? I think he was working
Right.
for Dragon Magazine at the time, and you could get prints and
Yeah, that last issue we looked at I think the last page they were selling prints of his covers and stuff.
yeah. Mm.
So
Anyway, just gorgeous, gorgeous. So hell yeah. What's interesting about the inside front covers is that normally he would just have like these images of him and Gordon Derry together, and now we
hmm
got this like necroscope,
I
like
know.
Necronomicon looking kind of like what the fuck? But I love it. It's awesome.
Very cool. I love
Yeah,
it too.
yeah. And then here we go, just getting
You got
into
you got to kind of wonder if that was just something he painted or if it was like actually Warlock 5. Like, you know what I mean? Did he actually spend time trying to make a monthly book, like fucking around with the inside cover image?
or yeah, did he just like grab?
Did
I
he already
mean,
have
it
like
is
a.
the same year, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't really seem. I mean, there are like skull like wraith kind of things,
hmm
images in the book, but it this seems more like it's like leather or skin being knit. Like it doesn't seem referential to what's
Right.
actually happening in the comic
Correct.
itself.
Got you.
But it's badass because that's all that matters. I do like this. I actually appreciate this, and I try to do this
I
with
do
my own
too.
comics.
Yep.
Because it just, when you haven't picked up a book in a while, you're like, wait, what's going on?
Exactly. I always tell the guys that at the local comic shop, I try to buy and trade paperbacks and collections now because I even month to month, if it's a monthly book, I can't remember, let alone
Yep,
something like you're doing where it's, months apart and stuff. So,
yep,
but I think
yep,
I think it's good to do the recap.
for sure. Well, last we left off, Xania was being corralled by the police. So Argon has been basically making like replicant androids of all of the warlocks and setting them up with the police and stuff and trying to frame them. And Xenia was being cornered by police. And she has these two dogs who are Capone and Dillinger. And so she was basically trapped in her warehouse or wherever her hideout is. And it looks like she's doing kind of a rock and roll like spell, which that seems to be where her magic comes from, is like through the auspices of sound and vibration and rock specifically.
Right. Right.
Um, and so she creates a portal into her nether realm and sucks her and the dogs into it. Such a fucking great sequence. I'm gonna say
Yep.
these two issues probably have some of my most favorite art. Like
Yeah. I mean, this first page, always a killer first page. It's
yeah,
just like, and yeah, the next couple. But in Tales to Enlighten, I actually, our character Sam, the grandson of Satan, uses his guitar to like teleport. So I guess somewhere in my subconscious, this must have been lodged. It
I was
wasn't a
gonna
direct,
say
yeah, it wasn't a direct reference, but like, yeah, I guess shit seeped into my DNA somehow.
Sam and Zania are probably lovers in another life
Yes.
for sure. God, so beautiful. I mean, that what's interesting about this book is that it's not like there's a lot of dialogue in these two issues at all or things happening, but the art is just so beautiful. You can just sit on a page forever.
Right. So on
Um,
page 3, where she's like in her realm now, is that like a rib cage or something she's
yeah,
walking through? I
yeah,
love it.
yeah, like a giant like
That's like a
carcass
spine with the
of
yeah.
something. Yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And again, he's doing that kind of like unfocused thing, and he does it
Yeah.
in the right ways. That just like really makes it makes it cinematic.
Right.
So the cops come in, they bust in. Oh, that's right. It's like a church that she has
Yeah,
her.
yeah, exactly.
Um, and they're like, well, she's gone, blah blah blah. But this poor guy is checking out her pentagram
Which
area.
which I don't know everything about the occult, but it seems more like not really a pentagram, but like a pentagon, right?
Yeah, I
Isn't
was
that
gonna
what you would
say
call it?
it looks exactly what I was thinking. Is that it is a pentagon. It's not a pentagram.
Right.
Um, which I guess you could use in the occult, but it's just get your terminology right.
Right. I guess
Um,
Burt Reynolds cop number 3 didn't know.
well, back then the Satanic Panic, everything was a
Right.
pentagram. Everything was evil.
Right. Which is even touched on way back here in the letters page of this
Yeah,
issue or the next one, but we'll talk about that later.
yeah. I think it is. I think it is this issue. Um, so the smoke from one of the candles, Wraith comes out and basically takes the dude out. And man, look, this looks like it could be like an Iron Maiden album cover or like in the inside cover.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, just hella badass.
Yeah.
Cannot I cannot express enough the amazingness of that image.
I mean, a lot of winning pages in this first 5 or 6 pages already.
Yep, yep. Of course, his twin. I get all cops just look like Burt Reynolds in this universe. His
Yep.
twin comes in and, of course, doesn't find him, looking for him. And then we get interrogation for little Tanner
Tanner.
here. And so this cop of the last issue, he was trying to, chase everybody down, figure out what's going on. Everything's getting pinned on her.
I know it's like this first panel. It's like, yeah, she's the murderer. They have like the rib cage and like an arm, but it's like, dude, it's not human.
Yeah,
I don't know what There's like a leap in logic here, where they're busting her ass over being a murderer when they don't have a body.
well, in this case too, I mean, regardless, they have enough to pin on her, I'm sure, because of like her lover boy, attacked and cut
Yeah,
off that cop's arm. But yeah, how they got to this point, other than there was an eyewitness that said this person died. I mean, seeing someone die, even though if it's a
right,
machine, but it looked like a human, yeah, it's clunky, it's odd, but I think it's mostly just to kind of set up the fact that Argon
right.
is like fucking with her. And of course, it's the 80s, so this cop has to try to cop a feel.
Feels her up in the
Jesus.
interrogation room while In the
Yeah,
panel before, he's got his foot in between her legs, leaning over. Like,
it's crazy. But
but I
she,
mean, that's the way all those '80s, VHS movies where we rented and shit. That
yep,
was just like that's how it was then.
this comic could have been made by Canon Films.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's definitely not right, but this is the way that all that shit was then. It's funny. The last panel, it's like she bites his nose, and then the other Burt Reynolds cop number 3 or 4 comes in, and it's like, oh, your wife's waiting for you.
Right, right. A little smile on his face. Jeez. All right, so she just acquiesces and is like, "I'll just do some magic to get out later,
Right.
if I have to." Um, and then we're back to Savistar, who's on the bridge and getting approached by Tanith. And I think pretty much the reader knows and understands at this point that's not her at all.
Right.
So this is one of Argon's replicants. Again, just a wonderful series of images. And so of course he suspects it because she doesn't have an aura.
Right.
So he knows that it's not actually her. And man, these 2 pages itself, just the freaking tearing up and destruction of this robot. Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
just incredible.
The way the panels are like all angled there on that left hand
Yeah,
page to give it some like frenetic energy and stuff. It's
yeah,
just and all the detail and all the little cybernetics or whatever's going on there. Cool
yeah.
shit.
He really went all out with
Yeah.
these few issues. There were a few issues there around like number 5 or like 4, 5, and 6 where it seemed like he was starting to try to get a little bit more simple
Mm-hmm.
and not as detailed, but now he's just like really going for it. And I was trying to look because we've discussed before how, I mean, he's obviously using photo reference because most realistic artists that do realism are using photo reference, but a lot of times it would be like an actual photograph. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking and I don't think that's happening at all at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. And that
Um,
before the page back on that right, that top panel,
yeah,
like the head gets like ejected, like it's so
that's
cool.
incredible. That is incredible.
I mean, even if the story lacks, it's like the art pulls it so far up for me. It's
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
can't hate on this book. Like,
Well,
I think it's just
honestly,
why I
the
love it so much.
yeah, the story is pretty lackluster.
Right.
With all respect to Gordon Derry, but it's kind of written like a power comic.
Mm-hmm.
What's that's what's kind of funny about it, but
Yeah.
the art just it elevates it completely. So, and man, this is just also a lot of detail for something that is just pure. Like I am assuming was painted in black and white.
Right.
Um, which would be, God, I want to see these original pages so bad.
It,
Um,
it would be very cool. I wonder what happened to them all.
yeah, I guess we'll just have to reach out to him. I mean, the guy is
I
obviously
think you'll have to.
pretty active on social media, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so uh Savistar goes to try to find Tanith at the police station because he realizes that she's in trouble. And the cop at the front desk is like, "You already picked her up. Hello."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh shit." So he's taking off. And this is what I mean about the cover. So really cool sequence here where he's
Yeah.
like, well, I need to turn into dragon form and fly to catch up and try to find. And so he starts doing his glow thing and we get a glimpse of like, there's some kind of electrical charge transformation thing happening, but then you
Mm-hmm.
get the alley and he's already taking off. So the cover is actually the panel between this panel and this page,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, like I've not even seen that a lot in any comic. Usually a cover is just like a representation of what's going on in the book, not like an actual missing panel.
Right. That's like a missing page almost.
Yeah, which I thought was fun. I liked it. So
And what?
pretty
And
neat.
this poor cat is like smoking here on the left hand side. Like he got
Yeah,
singed.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. I love it. Wait, I didn't see the cat on the cover.
I don't think there is one.
Yeah, one missing element, but oh well.
Right.
It was close enough. It was hiding behind the trash can
You
somewhere.
got it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, you're right. It is. I didn't catch that. Yeah.
All right. A plus for Denny for his
And
attention to
just
detail.
on the left hand page again, this is like the his dragon form, the tail, like in that bright white, like standing out in the at that alley. It's like great use of color in what a black and white book.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually like how he's if you notice in the backgrounds, he's kind of doing a little he's being a little bit more simple with
Yeah,
line work, which
yeah,
I appreciate. You know, it already looks realistic, but no, if he was trying to be hyper realistic with that background, whatever the other main primary points wouldn't be sticking out as much. It would just get
right.
lost. Of course, we get a view of just some dudes like smoking up, some punks smoking up on a rooftop nearby, seeing a dragon fly by. So that was a little fun.
Yeah,
And then just some gorgeous shots of this dragon. Like at first, I was like, "Oh man, are we not going to get some good like dragon imagery?" But no, he delivers. I mean,
yeah.
this
Look
is
at that.
just,
The head on that dragon is
I
just
know,
so rendered so cool.
yeah, God, and the veins and the wings.
Yeah. It's like you put all I mean, not that the buildings are like half-assed, but I mean the details in the dragon there.
Yeah. No, again, I mean, yes, there's detail, there's realistic detail,
Hmm.
but it's not hyper detail.
Right.
It's like done just enough that he's not skimping, but the character in the foreground is highlighted.
All the spikes on the dragon spine, it's
Oh,
like
it's the perfect kind of dragon. It's the
I
perfect kind of dragon.
yeah, I love it.
I wonder how many times I actually saw his work in Dragon Magazine and didn't realize who it was, but like
Yeah.
his style of dragon influenced my consciousness and what I think of when
Hmm.
I think of dragons. So we're on a bridge here in the city, and he's trying to find the aura of Tanith at this point, who is in the back with Savage Star. So
The
obviously not,
replicant. The
yeah,
replicant, yeah.
replicant, obviously not Savage Star itself. Um, and of course, he starts attacking her. Now, this sequence, I was actually Tanith, as we discussed last time. I've had issues with Tanith and who she is as a character.
Right.
It's bugged me. But at least in this sequence, she's fucking fighting for herself and
Right.
not just being a damsel in distress. Because it's like weird. These warlocks are supposed to have all this power, and for a while she's just been like, oh, I can't, but she's kicking some ass here.
Right.
And again, just delivering on the action, the angled panels, and then like a kick-ass splash page of her just taking this dude out.
She tears the flesh off that hand. It's like all that circuitry.
Fucking perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
tons of fun. And again, I mean, look, there's no words, there's nothing here. It's just all images at this point, which is fine. I mean, this
Yeah.
book could
Doesn't need it.
almost be a complete like wordless comic, and I think we would still get what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the comic book fights are, unrealistic. They wouldn't be doing the jibber jabber here on this
Right.
right hand page.
Yep.
So they would be fighting, not talking, like in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep.
If you're gonna shoot, shoot. Don't talk.
Exactly. Well, this replicant knows it's out for the count, so it's soon doing a self-destruct. She kicks it out, and it blows up on the bridge.
I mean, her spells don't work against the replicant, but the shoe, high heel in the eye does.
Well,
Whatever.
yeah,
I get it, but whatever.
women power, women power. That's another thing discussed in the letter columns,
Mm,
kind of. All right. So then she's like, all right, stop this cab immediately. And then we see a smiling face. And so immediately, like, we're okay, this is Argon, and this is hella creepy.
right.
That's something I've really liked is, the replicants just kind of having this like evil grin.
Hmm.
Um, so he has this really cool thing popping out of his arm, and he's got her now. She is screwed. Really cool, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
To
very cool.
no complaints. Um, so yeah, I think that you were referring to in this letters column. Somebody was complaining that the Xenia was being and rock and roll heavy metal is being linked to the occult, and
Right.
this person was like complaining about that reference.
Yeah, Jason Lynch from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yep. And Gordon Derry, to his credit, like I've been shitting on his writing a lot, but to his credit, he was kind of giving a pretty good, thorough rundown of, let me school you about the occult, son.
Right.
And how it's basically just like, for esoteric, referencing just esoteric stuff itself and yoga, and how um yogis believe that like the entire universe is really just based upon sound and vibration, and that's why and how Xenia uses music as vibration for the channeling of her magic. But then he does get into like, okay, but there is Satanism and them Black Sabbath people, um, you know, blah blah. I mean, it was just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's very of its time, that satanic panic thing,
yeah. Um,
But yeah, a
but
couple other letters. I read through the whole letter page here, and
mhm.
one of them is still complaining about the ending of issue number 3.
Yeah, I noticed that. They're
um,
like, yeah, we're fixing it from now on.
yeah, it's like it won't happen again. 6 issues later, people are still complaining.
Yeah,
Somebody was asking about is the art for sale, and they were saying that he wants to sell the issues complete, like not just individual pages.
yeah. Isn't that
So
crazy?
yeah,
So
yeah.
do you think
So
there are people out there that have like an entire issue's worth of art? Like that is
I don't.
nuts.
I don't know. I don't even know what it would cost back then. I'm sure it was a good deal
Jeez.
in today's money, but of course, there's the obligatory letter about why can't we have this book in color?
Yeah.
And some other dude that was like, we shouldn't call them comic books. We should have some other convoluted name for it. Like, it was something really weird. I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
that was like a huge topic back then,
yeah,
late 80s and early 90s of like, we want to be taken seriously. We shouldn't be calling them comic books anymore. And what's funny is I think nowadays nobody gives a shit. Nobody
no.
cares. Like, but it was such a big deal back then.
I guess it was just such a derogatory term. It's funny.
Well, it was just being referred to it that it made people think it was like little kid stuff, and
right.
comic readers were starting to grow up, and they didn't want to be seen as like they're just reading little kid stuff.
Right. That same guy who was complaining was talking about the heavy metal music, and the was like, I keep hearing about the Watchmen. I must check it out soon.
Yeah.
So it really places you, right then and there.
What is this Watchmen thing I've been hearing about?
And uh,
That's funny.
before we move on to the next issue, we last issue we were talking about, there was a letter from Craig Storman from Blue Comet Press, and we were like, who is that? Who's that? That's the guy who did those Life Brigade books.
What? For
Yeah.
real?
Yeah, yeah. So I had to look it up so that our street cred could still be intact.
Oh, dude, I want to tackle Life Brigade
Wow.
on this
It's a
channel
cool book.
soon.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I think there's only 3 issues. There's 2 of the main series, and then one of like a revamped Life Brigade series.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you
I
know
ha
of any more, if anybody knows of anything other than that, let me know because I want to own all of Life Brigade.
I don't know if I own them all. I think I definitely have a couple. I definitely have one from the original three, if not two, and maybe a couple of those other ones that are probably easier to find.
Nice.
But
This is actually the series that turned me on to Aircel.
hmm
I found it, the issue 1 in a flea market, um, quite a few years ago, and I loved it. It's actually a series that I don't have all of. I've only got like 2 issues in it so far, but I'd like to fill it out. Just
that's funny that this is your first Aircel book because when I got back to these pages and I said Darkwood, I go, I don't even know what that is. I had to look it up because I thought it might be one of those books that was, like solicited and then never came out, but no, it exists.
yep, yep. There's like 6 issues, I think.
Yeah.
But just a fun kind of like weird fantasy, you know.
Hmm.
And I don't know anything about this, but
Yeah, that exists too. I looked that up too. It
yeah,
it does.
but I want it. I want this. Hell yeah. All right. So moving on to issue 10. Really cool Terminator cover.
Yeah,
They
totally.
were really leaning on that Terminator bit, but what's interesting, this kind of reminds me a little bit, if you made this red, of that Alien um, cover that Denis did
Mm.
for the Alien comic that he actually just recently redid on his social media page. He
Yeah.
he'll redo images a lot, and he does them fast,
So I
which
don't think
what's
he's
weird.
actually he just Photoshop mocked he took the original cover and then like Photoshop kind of what he wants to do. I don't think he's actually painted the real thing yet. So I
Really?
was I
Oh,
was following too. I don't think yeah, I think he's going, it's on the docket, but I think that was like I think it said something like, like a prelim or something done in
wait.
Photoshop.
So you're saying that he does like preliminary study with Photoshop first before he applies
That's
the canvas?
I will have to go back and check in time for next episode, but I believe that is what I
That's
read.
that's interesting.
Like he's like playing around with trying to get the look of what he wants to do is what I gather. But I mean, I could be totally wrong.
No, but that's actually really interesting if that's the
Mm.
case, because I'm not a fan of digital work a lot of the
Right.
time. I mean, if it's done right, I guess it's okay, but I will always prefer hand drawn. But that's a good use of a digital art tool, I think,
hmm
is kind of like thumbnailing or yeah, getting like, a first draft down so you know how you want it to look. That's really cool. All
Yeah.
right. Well, anyway, it is cool.
So we're back to the covers where basically it's just like a figure with
Yep.
the most minimal backgrounds ever, which I'm sure made it pop on the shelves.
Yeah.
Got to.
No, yeah, it made it pop up. I'm sure this one actually didn't stand out as much as
Right.
this one. Although I think I like this the best. There's something about this that just really appeals to me. I think that's one of my favorites. But yeah, I get it. This is why I don't do graphic design though. Um, I'm not good at it. So we're back to I'm glad that they're repeating this.
Yeah. Recap and then back
Doing
to
faces
some
of the
sort of identification of who's making this book.
yep. And then hella kick-ass splash page of the
Yeah.
dragon. I mean, just like starting with the dragon, a lot of cool imagery of Savage Star in this one as well,
Yeah.
which just makes me so happy. So he's hunted down the uh, the cab that where Tanith and Argon are now engaged in a battle. So she's working her magic, and it looks like he's trying to like actually shoot her or pulverize her, and her magic are both kind of like in conflict here. And I don't understand. Oh, now I think I understand what happens. Her magic, she's like basically grabbing his neck and then pulling him out of the car.
Right.
I didn't catch that the first time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so much when you're looking at it in person. There's just a lot visually to look at. But then
Hmm.
when you're seeing it on the screen, as I'm looking at now, it's like, oh, I can see the differentiation. It's weird.
As a machine, he can't understand why she's like trying to take him with her. You know, if you're
Right.
gonna kill me, you're going down with me. He's like illogical.
This is illogical. Which, whatever, Argon, you've had some emotional drama queen moments yourself for being a machine. I'm just saying. Um, oh goddess, instead of oh god, the car goes out of control.
great,
Bam.
great expressive look on her face. You know,
Yeah,
with the eyes. You know.
yeah, incredible. We get some more cool eye stuff from her later in this issue as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, we do, we do.
Just fucking great. I mean, even just seeing like a regular comic artist drawing a car doing something like this would not be as awesome and kick ass. I mean, this is just incredible. So Savage Star definitely knows, okay, something's up, and he's flying in and obviously going to get her as she's falling. Not to do spoilers, but come on. Another great image of the car falling in the background here with that like focused, unfocused lens
Yep.
effect. Oh, and the highlight of the lighting again, just his use of lighting is incredible. And then the angles that he's using, even with it seems like whenever he is doing the dragon, he feels way more comfortable with different perspectives, and just like the character of the Savage Star as a dragon seems more fluid than when he's just drawing people as like
Right.
talking heads.
Yeah.
And it's probably just because it's just a funner, more fluid image to draw, so it's easier to do. Hey, I'm gonna turn the camera like this way,
Hmm.
But hella amazing image. He really
I mean, that
weird way
first,
to grab her, but
yeah, yeah, that first panel with the light of the explosion and stuff, you know, given such focus on the the dragon's head there, you know, it's white background, so it really sticks out, you know.
yeah, yeah, perfect placement, perfect composition.
Yeah, I guess definitely a weird way to grab her, but whatever.
Yeah. All right, so he takes her, and pretty cool image of Argon's head floating in the water and all of
Right.
these bubble. I mean, this is
Sinking to the
incredible.
bottom. Yeah.
Um, all right, so basically, yeah, nothing happens here except he's just flying off with her.
She's
Um,
holding on tight.
yeah, but this is an incredible image. Again,
Right.
this comic went by so fast, both of these issues, because there's just
Hmm.
not a lot actually happening story wise, but just
Right.
look at this. And
That's
again,
the
you're
front.
right. He's highlighting the head with
Yeah.
some kind of white in the background.
Must be the moon there, right?
This is a rock
But
album cover for sure.
oh yeah. I mean, that's the frustrating thing about comics sometimes, especially in my case where I don't draw, is like maybe the back third of the last issue and the first third of this one is literally just one scene, you know,
Yeah.
an action scene. It's like uh, trying to get an artist to draw 10 pages of just one scene, you know, not and it doesn't really move the story forward that much, but you need that stuff
Yep.
to make the comic work, you know.
Yep.
But
God, the light showing through the leather in his wing just
right. I mean, there's no way to friggin' that you would interpret that any other way than very sexualized positioning of
yeah.
her and him.
Yeah. And that's what I don't get. So this is what's really cute about this. They go back to her place, and she's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I realize I should have been with you this whole time, and I'm meant to be with you." I'm like, "Okay, woman, you have been kind of a hussy this whole thing. Like you just
Right,
kind of jumped from dude to dude, and this one guy tried to kill cops for you like 2 issues ago, and now you've just
right.
left him rotting in jail while
Well,
you're backing it up."
she just flip flops between, the fucking very capable um warlock warrior sort of thing, and then back to the arms of a man sort of. It's like one or the other. There's no in between for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, she annoys me. Okay. Anyway, so this was one of my favorite parts. Savage Star was like, well, we need to get your shit together. So how about taking some psychedelics from my home planet?
Yep.
And I'm
uh,
like, fuck yeah, all in for this.
Served in that teacup with a dragon on it.
Mm, I would drink out of that
You know what I
for
mean? He's a
sure.
dragon. He's serving the
Yep.
dragon tea. And then,
Hell
like,
yeah.
there you were talking about the eyes there in that last panel. Like, I mean, that literally looks like a photograph.
Yeah, it does. Ugh, absolutely beautiful. And a pretty nice, even though, man, that psychedelic is hitting pretty fast. Usually when you drink, it takes a little while to get,
Hmm.
to take effect, but really nice representation of how sometimes reality starts like vibrating and bending.
Hmm.
So yeah, pretty cool couple of images here. So essentially what's happening is taking this so this was kind of weird. I was like, okay, this is a little bit of an interesting twist going on, but he gives her this psychedelic and it allows him to be able to kind of take control of her gait
Yep.
and then through that brings her to her realm, which just, I mean, I don't need to say anything about how fucking cool both of these pages are.
Right.
Um, but again, at this point, a lot of this is just becoming splash pages. So essentially, this is what he's going to do. I'm basically leaving you here until you become enlightened.
Yeah. It's like a parent leaving a kid in the
Yeah,
room, being like, when you're ready to behave yourself, you can come out.
right. Because she has been kind of just all over the place. So he's like,
Right.
I need you, if we're going to be together, I need you to mature a little bit. So you're going to stay here in your realm because the psychedelic allowed him to have control over that. Um, so I'll come get you whenever
Right.
you've somehow achieved dragon angel status or whatever.
Right. Which is, kind of a dick move too on his part, but
Well, totally. Yeah.
I
He's just
mean, I
like,
mean, he's trying to like get control of the whole grid or whatever.
yeah. I mean, at this, I was like, okay, this seems like a harsh dick move, like an abusive relationship kind of thing of like, I'm just going to force you to change. Like, why not just have a conversation? I thought he was like this like peaceful guy and came from this
Right.
peaceful planet, right? Because he took
Uh-huh.
Dumador there. So I thought that's what maybe he was doing with her.
I
I was
did
like,
too. And then if you turn the page, and then on the right hand page, I mean, I'm like, oh man, this guy's gone over the tipping point. Maybe it's not like all benevolent. I can't,
yeah,
so I can't at this point. I couldn't read which way, if he
yeah.
was doing things for the greater good or if he was doing it in self interest.
Well, I kind of liked this in the sense of like, he's
Right.
like, yeah, Argon is destroyed, Dumador is on the verge of death, Xenia has disappeared, and now I've got control of Tannis. Like, it just basically shows that like none of these people, nobody here are heroes. They've been kind of setting Savage Star up to be
Hmm.
kind of like the hero of the group, along with Tanith, who's supposed to be kind of good, but she's just like kind of chaotic and all over the place.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, no, every single one of these people are actually bastards. They're all just like total jerks, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, and then we get this sequence that probably went on a little longer than it needed to, I think.
Mm.
Um, but we get this young boy in, is that a Slayer shirt? I can't tell. Who's wanting to commit suicide by not jumping very far.
I know. It's
Um,
like the
yeah,
lowest suicide attempt. It's like there's a big bridge in the background. Like, go jump off that one
right. Well,
if
and
you want
like I
to.
was like, well, maybe he doesn't know how to swim, but Nope, he knows how to swim. He got right out of the water. It's like not a great suicide attempt, but of course Argon did not die, and he's biting onto the kid's leg, which I actually thought was pretty funny. He's just like he's not letting go until this kid is just like decides to serve him and
Right. Oh,
obey him.
it's a
Oh,
samurai
it's a
shirt.
samurai.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, from the Aircel title samurai.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh shit. Nice. Good job,
yeah,
Denny, on that marketing, cross
yeah,
marketing. So yeah, so now Argon's got like a human henchman who's gonna do what he says, and these were all cool images. It was well drawn. I just think for all the sequences that have been going on, this one was probably a little longer than it needed to compared to some of the others.
yeah. It's like sucked up 6 pages of the
Yeah,
story, you know.
but
But
it was cool. I like how his ear is still,
yeah, yeah. Like the replicant flesh is still attached to
yep,
the metal skull.
pretty fun. And then I actually laughed when I turned the page. I laughed out loud. I was like, this Mordred dude, like he's just constantly trying to stab Dumador in his sleep, and it never works out.
Right.
Um, and it finally like uh doesn't work out for the last time. So Dumador twists the knife on him, stabs him. Um, I don't understand exactly what's happening here. Mordred turns into like a dragon demon kind of thing and burns up. I don't understand fully, but it's
Right.
badass looking.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's badass looking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Gordon probably didn't even like write it. He was just like, make something cool
What a
happen.
sick page on the right hand
I
side. I mean, both
know.
of them, but the right, that's another like killer splash page
Yeah.
with that demon skeleton, wings,
Yeah.
horns, teeth.
Fucking love it. Love it. I actually, because when I first started drawing, especially like when I was drawing way more heavily in middle school, I drew a lot of like dragon type stuff, but skeleton stuff was so much easier for me.
Okay.
And there were a few dragon skeleton kind of things kind of like this that I just thought they're just fun to draw. Anyway.
Yeah.
And this was a little like, oh, that's sort of like not that impressive of a final page, but oh well, it's still cool.
So well
So
drawn though.
yeah,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, don't you think Den's like Dumador is based on Den himself? Like that's what he looks like,
they
basically,
look
right?
very similar. Yeah,
I
very
mean,
similar. Yeah, he
I'm pretty
probably looked
sure
in the
he,
mirror when he
yeah,
did
he's
that.
kind of drew himself into the story.
Yeah. Well, it's finally nice to see Dumador come back into commission because he's been out of it forever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
since
yeah, yeah.
Savage Star took him to his realm, and then he came back
Came back
trying,
to get stabbed.
yeah, to get stabbed. Um, and I'm glad he's kind of coming back with a vengeance too, because when he came back trying to be like, let's be friends, I was like, no, this is not, no, no. His name's Dumator. That's not happening. So we'll see what happens next issue. All right. So letters pages. I think this the one where they were talking about that there's
The
actually a person in the news media
Oh yeah,
who
that who
was
dogged the book,
yeah,
right?
yeah, who's talking shit on the book
Yeah,
because of its representation of it's like because it's sexist towards
right,
women and corrupts young readers. And I mean, and he's like really being hyper defensive about it. But I mean, I think this is the 80s. I'm sure that in his mind he was thinking, well, I'm writing strong women. They're
right.
fighting and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but still
Yeah,
Janet is a little
that first letter is from some dude that was like wanted to make sure they knew they drew the wrong gun.
right.
That M16s Zinnia has aren't belt fed.
Right.
Doesn't understand how a bullet could be fired by the M79 grenade launcher trigger.
Yeah.
Like It's okay, dude. It's a comic book.
Yeah.
Relax.
Um, I can see him like pushing up his glasses. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's actually an M29.
I go.
Like,
We go to dinner every Wednesday night after the comic store, and we've got one of the members of our group is always actually everybody. So that's we always give him shit.
I thought it was
Uh,
funny that Brian Kendrick here was
Mad
kind
about the
of,
covers.
yeah, that, and he's complaining about Tanith's like dudes, like her champions.
Oh, right, right.
Why can't you guys give her a fitting champion, not someone who looks like he'd lose a fight with Pee Wee Herman? Fix that. Like, what? The dude cut an arm off of a police officer.
Right. Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman gets a shout out.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah. Well, that's the only things I kind of pointed out.
Yeah.
Now
Th-
this
there is another letter in here from Jess Alexander, Corvus, Oregon, who is
Oregon
complaining about the ending of number 3 again. So
again.
that I guess that never ends.
Yeah. And I guess they're getting so few letters that they're just printing whatever they can. And like, God,
Maybe.
because you would think you would kind of filter out those letters that are complaining about the same thing that's already been fixed and addressed.
Or at least do the Marvel thing where you write your own letters to
There
like
you
make it
go.
seem plausible,
Why not?
you know? There was somebody asking about Mordred's eye. Like, and there's like a backstory to it that they kind of tell you
Right.
something about. I forget what it was at this point, but it's like,
Same here.
yeah, Mordred of the Crystal Eye. Like he'd given part of his soul up for this eye or something.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Mordred of the Crystal Eye in
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
past issue.
Crystal Eye's bizarre pack with a Doggerly demon.
A
Daggerly
daggerly
demon.
demon.
Daggerly demon. Yeah, he was kind of kinky. Yeah. So there's like so I guess at least they have a backstory if they ever wanted, like the comic I'm planning now, it's like I have like a main story that I want to do with like one artist and then like like I would do like the story of Morbid's Eye with like a different artist to like
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
I was actually talking to Ragne Neas this morning, and get him involved somehow, and
oh my God.
and have him do like a short backup or something. But we'll
All
see if
right.
this thing ever launches. We don't know.
The fact that you have a working friendship with Ragne
He's
is
such a nice dude.
fucking badass because
Yeah,
that is like that's legendary, dude. That is
yeah.
legendary. We're talking to history right here, ladies and gentlemen. Talking to history. Um, who's your favorite Warlock contest? I thought that was probably like kind of like, okay, but this dude. So I'm gonna do a search, and I'm
I
gonna
know.
find this. I'm gonna find Gordon Derry's electronic soundtrack to Warlock 5, and if I
You
can
never,
find it, I'm putting
you're
that in the
never gonna find
background of
that.
this episode.
You'll never find it.
I
It's
am
like
hunting. I am
it's like
hunting.
it's like do you know the Turbo Pit Fighter guys?
Yeah,
Kurt Brugel there.
yeah.
He's like trying to hunt down Jim Somerville, who did like all these Aircel titles, and it's like we can't even find him. Like, can't find a person online, let alone you're gonna find like this soundtrack that was only on cassette.
It's somewhere out there on some sort of like 90s web page. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe. Who's your favorite Warlock, Daniel?
Oh, honestly, I think even though visually I do like Savage Star, I think Xenia is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, she rocks.
How
She
about
rocks.
you?
Ah, I don't know. Maybe Savage Star. I like Dumador though. He's got like such a cool look. It's
Doomendor's
hard to
cool.
say. I'd have to give it more thought. I guess I should have had an answer before I asked you.
Xenia is just it exudes that kind of like punk rock aspect of this book,
I
but
know
then
of the
also
era.
she's kind of like the most reliable character.
Yeah,
Like she is reliably Xenia. Like there's no twists with her, and not that I don't like twists, but some of the times like these characters do something that seems so out of character that I'm just like, what? But I'm never confused. She's always going to be just a chaotic punk, just psycho killer. You love it. Gotta love it. All right. Another
Look,
Darkwood ad. That's
look
pretty
at
cool.
the inside back. It's like a whole new
Oh,
set
yeah.
of prints from Den.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, this Mr. Grung one of the little demon goblin thing coming out of the toilet. It's pretty cool.
The one next to it there, the spinning tails, that was certainly a Dragon magazine cover.
Yeah.
I don't recognize any of the other ones, but certainly that one was. Man, I wonder if how many of these like was that a big a big seller? Were people sending money in for this stuff?
Yeah.
I
So
don't
when they
know.
say edition of 200, edition of 500, that's the number of prints,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
So
Like
they've
limited
got to be
edition
out there.
runs.
They've got to be out there. They're
Yeah, you would think so.
certainly he wouldn't have thrown them away. Yeah, I
No.
think I might just have to. I think I might just have to. I know you tried to reach out to him before, but maybe I'll try to give him a shout.
Yeah, yeah,
See if we
yeah.
can't get him on the channel, and maybe you and I can interview him together and kind of talk through some of all this and how it all went down.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, sir, thank you so much for joining me for issues 9 and 10. Really enjoyed them. This was probably my favorite sequence so far. It was a lot of fun. I loved the art and a lot of everything was moving along at a decent enough pace for me. So I'm happy.
Yeah, yeah. Great, but I hope I don't come off too negative in these where I kind of like pick apart the plot points or whatever. I don't, in the big scheme of things, I don't care. I just think this book rocks on vibes and art alone, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So
I
awesome, man.
agree.
I had a great time.
Yep, I did too. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon for the next one. We'll get that
Yeah.
scheduled. And everyone, please go out to Matt stuff. I'll have a link to get Tales of Enlighten Volume 1 and 2 in the description. I have my own books that you can get in the description. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Stay safe out there and keep it psycho.
Hell yeah.